interests me in terms of research is what we call risk-adapted breast radiotherapy. As we know, breast cancer is a huge spectrum of different types of diseases, and certainly in the last few years a lot of the drug treatments have been more personalised treatment, but in terms of radiation treatment that's lagged behind quite a bit. It's been more of a one-size-fits-all. So the idea here is that we actually tailor the radiation therapy in terms of the risk to the patient and have different strategies that suit different patients. We have a series of trials in the UK. Some of them are looking at trying to identify patients who are really very low risk, where the risks of radiotherapy may actually outweigh the benefits, and they may wish to avoid radiotherapy altogether. And then all through the spectrum really to the other extreme, where we've got some women at very high risk who may benefit from new treatments like proton beam therapy, which are highly targeted but need to be tested in clinical trials so that we know the clinical benefit. And then we've got various different strategies all the way along in between. Is potentially huge benefit for the patient, because what we want is the best chance of cure with the least side effects. We use a biomarker, so a test where we try to identify patients who are low risk, who are directed towards radiotherapy, and then patients who are very low risk who may be able to avoid. And it's a different type of marker than is used in the expert study. The difference between the UK study and the expert study is that it's not a randomised study, so patients are able to actually make up their minds based on the decision about the extra information that they're given about their tumour. So they've got choice. So slightly different approach to the Australasian study. So another study, a surgical study, is called the SMALL study, and that's looking at seeing whether patients can avoid having standard breast surgery with a general anaesthetic, so actually having a radiology excision of the tumour without having to go into surgery. So that's something that's very exciting. Another whole range of different trials we have is looking at what we call hypofractionation in radiotherapy, which is basically giving the same amount of treatment but in less number of treatments or fractions. So it's not that we're de-escalating the treatment itself because they're getting the same equivalent treatment, but we're decreasing the burden of treatment. So, it used to be that there was 5 weeks of breast radiotherapy, and for many people now, particularly in the UK, we're down to just 1 week, and that makes a huge difference because people can recover quickly and they can get on with their lives. So the key points I'd like to share with the audience is looking at really the journey of how radiotherapy has changed over the last decade or so. But I'd particularly like to discuss a new sort of trial idea that we have, because I'd love to get feedback from Australian colleagues to see how we could perhaps work together and collaborate and come up with a joint trial. Collaboration is absolutely essential, and lots of different reasons for that, but it's so that we can make sure that there's a real broad representation of patients who take part in trials, and so that it's really inclusive, and that means that the results are generalisable to the whole population and not just for a small few. And that's why it's also very important that we collaborate not just with high-income countries, but we also very much partner with low middle-income countries as well, and have a whole range of different ethnicities as well, which is particularly important in breast cancer when we're looking at the sort of genetic determinants of what causes breast cancer, but also how people respond, both in terms of response and side effects.